If you remember Toys R Us, then you probably had a good childhood. Actually, Toys R Us probably has nothing to do with that, but long story short, Toys R Us was a great place, and it was always my favorite place as a kid. It's pretty crazy to think that people exist on this planet that weren't even alive before Toys R Us stores closed, and some people won't have this great place as part of their childhood. I'm aware that some stores didn't even close until as recent as 2021, and I think some are still open, but not where I live. The one near me closed way back in 2018, so it's been half a decade since I've experienced the beauty of Toys R Us. If you somehow don't know what Toys R Us is, or was, or never went to one before, it was this toy store that had pretty much anything a kid could ever want, from toys to sports stuff to board games to video games and plenty of other stuff. Being told by my parents back in the day that we were going to Toys R Us was music to my ears. I essentially memorized the entire interior of the Toys R Us we used to go to inch by inch because of how often we would go and how much I loved the place. I remember you could walk in, there's this giant replica of a Monopoly board on the wall to the right, and all the checkout lanes to the left with all the Pokemon card and other playing card products in that area. I was and still am a big Pokemon card fan, so that was always one of my favorite areas in the store, the Pokemon cards. If you walk diagonally right from there, you'd end up in the Lego section, and in the Lego aisles there was those neat little display cases of sets of levers and buttons to make parts of the sets light up or move and stuff. And, okay, maybe I should stop reciting the floor plan of the place, but I'm just trying to emphasize how special it was. Anyway, Toys R Us closed for financial problems or whatever, which always confused me, because so many people like myself were sad to see it close, so they must have been shopping there, right? How could they have been struggling? And yeah, I know online shopping and all made it tough, and I'm just having trouble accepting the fact that they closed, but it's still a shame that Toys R Us fell victim to those kind of issues. Anyway, I want to quickly show some pictures of some of the last visits I ever made to Toys R Us. This photo here is from September 2017, so almost 6 years ago as of making this video at least. Aside from the goofy Freddy Fazbear right there, if you're a Pokemon card fan, you'll notice sets from the XY era like Breakthrough, Breakpoint, and the infamous Evolution set, so you know this is a throwback. There's also some Sun and Moon stuff. Anyway, here's another photo showing a box of Pokemon cards for $25. And I'm only showing this one off because I just found a listing for that same box today for over $100, which is over 4 times as much as it was then. And then the last time I ever went to Toys R Us was May 2018, so over 5 years ago now. I didn't take any pictures that time, but I did take pictures of what I got from my final ever Toys R Us haul, which wasn't much. It was just these, random Jurassic World dinosaur action figures, because I used to collect animal and dinosaur figures, so why not? But what I'm getting into here is that Toys R Us has been recently, quote-unquote, reopening, but I refuse to accept that. What they mean by reopening is that they've been setting up these little stations in random Macy's stores and malls in various locations, and because of that, instead of being the whole stores coming back, it's just a random corner of the top floor of a mall with the Toys R Us logo slapped on it and a collection of toys on some shelves. I visited one recently to see if it would live up to what Toys R Us once was, and I was greatly disappointed. Nothing about it was reminiscent of the real store at all. It had carpets, a feature that I never saw in the real Toys R Us stores. There was no section of video games, no Pokemon cards, no bikes, none of that other good stuff that the original one had. And scariest of all, I saw Among Us merchandise there, which was the final nail in the coffin for me. The real Toys R Us would never do that. Even worse, just a few steps away was another toy area that was virtually identical to the Toys R Us area, just without the Toys R Us logo, which just shows that this new Toys R Us has lost its charm and personality. What I'm saying here is that this Toys R Us resurgence is not what it seems. This is not Toys R Us. This is not real.